Thanks for joining me. My name is Simon Hardy and I run an independent wine consultancy called Fitting Wines. I'm a qualified wine expert and hold the WSET diploma in wines and spirits. I'm actually Anglo-Swiss and launched Fitting Wines back in Switzerland in 2010. Now I'm based in London, and in my role as brand ambassador for the Albion Group in the UK, I'm on a mission to share my knowledge, appreciation and love of Swiss wines. The vineyards of Switzerland are divided into 6 separate regions, and each one makes a distinct contribution to the Swiss winescape, supporting around 1,500 full-time wine producers in total. 4 of the regions are defined by a single canton each. Valais is the largest with 33% of all vineyards, followed by Vaud with 26%, Geneva 10%, and Ticino 7%. The multi-canton regions are known as German-speaking Switzerland at 19%, made up of 16 different cantons, and 3 lakes at 5%, which straddles 4 cantons. Let's start in the Valais, the largest wine region in the country, known for its long dry summers and the birthplace of the River Rhône. Here, around 600 producers manage 1/3 of Switzerland's vineyards. The vineyards flank mainly the south-facing side of the Rhône Valley. The valley follows the line of the glacial retreat, formed 20,000 years ago, and the slopes can be as steep as 90% in places. The river flows west into Lake Geneva and then on into the well-known Rhône Valley wine regions of France. The Valais enjoys the protection of the Alps to the south, the warming föhn wind, and a dry, sunny climate which provides ideal growing conditions that ensure well-ripened grapes with 2,500 hours of sun per year. The semi-arid region is the driest of the wine-producing regions, with just 650 millimeters of rainfall, so water from alpine snowmelt is used for irrigation. This warm climate allows some of the vineyards to be planted at higher altitudes above 750 meters, and in the case of Vispa-Terminen, up to 1,150 meters, making it amongst the highest vineyards in Europe. The phylloxera beetle, which ravaged much of the world's vineyards at the start of the 20th century, never managed to climb this high, so there are still thousands of non-grafted, pre-phylloxera plants of the Savagnin Blanc grape. This variety grows in many other parts of the Valais, where it is known as either Haida or Païen. In the Valais, red wines make up 2/3 of production. One of the delights of discovering Valaisan wine is the number of indigenous grape varieties, such as the black grapes, Cornalin and Humain Rouge. They grow alongside more familiar varieties such as Pinot Noir and Gamay, much of which go into the easy-drinking Dole red blend. And, as you might expect in the Rhône Valley, Syrah also grows well. As for white wines, plantings of Chasselas, known locally as Fendant, have halved in 25 years in favour of native varieties like Petite Arvine, sometimes called simply Arvine, and Amine, that are found nowhere else outside the region. A number of other white varieties you might know carry local names like Malvoisie for Pinot Gris, Hermitage for Marsanne, and Johannisberg for Sylvaner. In the Valais, several of the white varieties produce not only dry wines but also noteworthy medium sweet wines labelled Mi-Flétrie and delicious sweet wines labelled Flétrie. In summary, the Valais is Switzerland's largest and driest wine region, is best known for numerous native varieties like Petite Arvine, Humain Blanche and Amine whites, and Cornalin and Humain Rouge reds. It's home to some of the highest vineyards in Europe, at Vispiterminen up to 1,150 meters. Ticino is the fourth biggest standalone wine canton and is the only Swiss wine region located south of the Alps. It enjoys a wetter, sunnier, Mediterranean climate than the rest of the country, but also endures high rainfall at 1,600 millimeters per year, as well as serious hailstorms. The region, which supports just over 100 producers, is divided in two. Sopra Ceneri, the area to the north of Monte Ceneri, is made up of steep, fragmented terraces. By contrast, the Sotto Ceneri to the south comprises more extensive, gently sloping vineyards that are easier to work. It's also worth mentioning 28 hectares of the Ticino AOC region where the vines are actually located in the Italian-speaking Val Mesolcina in the neighbouring canton of Graubünden to the east, but the wines are vinified in Ticino. It's worth noting that the boundary between the European and African tectonic plates runs through the heart of the canton and more or less coincides with the boundary between Sopra Ceneri and Sotto Ceneri. This results in major differences in soil between the north and the south of the region. The area dedicated to wine production has actually grown by about 20% over the past 20 years. This Italian-speaking region is dominated by one single variety, namely Merlot, which represents more than 80% of production. Over 90% of the vines are planted to black varieties, but some 20% of the Merlot grapes are actually vinified as white wine. In summary, Ticino is the only Swiss region located south of the Alps, is the fifth biggest at 7% of production. The climate is distinctly Mediterranean with an abundance of sun, but also lots of rain and heavy hailstorms. And Ticino is far and away the land of Merlot, of which about 1/6 is vinified as Merlot Bianco. The final region in this presentation is comprised of vineyard areas covering several cantons. The so-called Deutschschweiz region, or German-speaking Switzerland, covers 16 cantons and accounts for 19% of Switzerland's vineyards. In reality, the region breaks down into three main entities, in which 5 cantons account for 80% of the vineyards in the whole region. The western part, of which Canton Aargau at 3% is the most important. The central part, where Zurich at 4%, Schaffhausen at 3%, and Thurgau at 2% are the key cantons. And the eastern part, of which Canton Graubünden at 3% is the most significant. There are around 400 producers in the total region, but for the vast majority, wine is not their principal activity and is simply a source of extra income. In a region as diverse as this one, there are many local climate zones. Generally speaking, the many lakes and rivers that characterize the Swiss plateau have a strong influence, as does the warm föhn wind, as well as favorably situated slopes. A defining feature of this region is the prevalence of Pinot Noir, also called Blauburgunder, as the leading black variety, and Müller-Thurgau, also called Riesling Sylvaner, as the leading white grape. It's worth adding that this white grape was a crossing created in Germany back in 1882 by a Dr. Müller, who originated from Swiss canton Thurgau. Overall, black grapes account for almost 70% of all plantings. However, amongst the white wines, you find some intriguing ancient varieties that are unique to this part of the country, such as Riesling and Completer. In summary, German-speaking Switzerland represents 19% of all Swiss vineyards. 5 principal cantons account for 4/5 of the region. It's dominated by black grapes, mainly Pinot Noir or Blauburgunder. and ancient white varieties of interest are Riesling and Completer. In wrapping up this overview of half of the wine regions of Switzerland, let me highlight three main benefits of choosing Swiss wine. First of all, you get to experience the unique tastes of a range of ancient native grape varieties that are cultivated nowhere else on earth. You have the opportunity to explore remarkable expressions of the distinctive alpine terroir, where sustainable or organic or biodynamic production are practiced almost universally. And you discover top-rated wines that take you off the beaten track, produced by winemakers gaining a real reputation for consistent quality. And you can't get more Swiss than that. Exports of Swiss wine are rather limited, but the good news is that several leading producers are supplying their wines to a select number of UK distributors. The main four stockists of Swiss wines in the UK are shown here, and you can find a list of the regions and producers they carry by visiting the address shown. Whenever you need more information regarding Swiss wines or have specific questions or requirements, please contact me using the website, email, or telephone. Thank you for your time and attention, and cheers for now.